Hi there, folks. It's Amiibo Jason here, taking a look at a brand new product that's coming out very, very soon. You might have seen us talk about this a lot on our Twitter page, on our website, maybe seen it online somewhere, and that is because it's really, really unique. It's Starlink Battle for Atlas. The good folks at Ubisoft were kind enough to send us a starter pack, 3 ships, a pilot pack, and a weapon pack to take a look at. Now, Starlink is coming out on Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch, but in my opinion, the Switch is getting the best version. Why? Star Fox. This comes with Fox Mccloud as a pilot and an R-Wing as one of the ships you can use in the game. Now, this is the second time that Ubisoft and Nintendo have partnered up on the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, we had Mario plus Rabbids, and now we have Fox Mccloud and Starlink. So, for $75, you get the ship, you get 2 pilots, you get some weapons, a copy of the game, and the most interesting thing here, that is the mount that you hook this thing up to, and we're going to show you how that works here in just a second. So, let's take a look at what's inside the box and kind of go from there. Now, oddly enough, Ubisoft did not send us a copy of the game with this, so we pretty much just got the toys, and we got a digital copy of the game for the review. So if you're wondering why there's no game in here, that's why. But right off the bat, you get a nice little poster with everything on it. You get the ship, which is absolutely amazing. I haven't seen an R-Wing toy like this before, so I love this thing. You get, I'm going to show you this a little bit more in detail in a few minutes here. This is the Joy-Con mount, and this is how you actually hook the ship and the pilots up to your game. Again, more on this in just a few minutes. Obviously, the star of the show here, Fox Mccloud, he is very tiny. If you're kind of comparing this to an amiibo, I'd say it's about 1/4 of the size. And then you have the weapons. I'm going to try to get these out of here the best I can. Come on, guys. There we go. We have a flamethrower, and we have what appears to be ice missiles. Each of these have like an elemental sign on it. This one's fire, this one's ice. These hook up to the ship. So, let's take a look and see how these actually hook up and kind of go from there. So, as I mentioned before, it does come with a dock for your Joy-Con. Essentially what you do, you slide your Joy-Cons in like this. Easy enough. And then from there, you select your pilot. The pilot slides onto the very front of this, so obviously we're picking Fox Mccloud. There's no other option for me. He slides right in there. And the ship then goes right on top of it, right over Fox. So it clips in like that. It's nice and snug and firm, and you're ready to go. Now, it's really, really light. So if you're concerned, like this looks awkward, it's big and bulky, it actually works really nice. Now, on each of the wings, on all of the ships here, you have the option to hook up a weapon. This one comes with, like I said before, a flamethrower and an ice shot. You can select where you want them to go. Now, the nice thing is if you have like a weapon pack, they're about $7 or $8 a piece, you can essentially swap the weapons out on the fly. And this is really neat. It's one of the coolest concepts I've seen in a game, but really it does make this thing look pretty darn awesome. So we're going to leave this right here. We're going to take another look at some of the other ships here. We're going to open up another one here. Alright, so here's another look at yet another ship that comes in this set. I think the ships are about $25 a piece. We have links in the description down below if you want to pick any of these up. This one's a little bit heavier than the R-Wing, but it still seems light enough. Again, you have the spots on both wings to swap out the weapons. This one is called the Neptune, and it does come with another pilot as well. All of the pieces of this set are interchangeable, and that makes this thing really amazing to me. I love the idea that you can kind of swap the parts out on the fly as you're playing. Now, the story in Starlink Battle for Atlas is your pretty standard sci-fi fare. A ragtag group of scientists and pilots make their way to a brand new star system called Atlas in search of a rare artifact. In the process, the ship's captain was kidnapped by a group called the Forgotten Legion, run by an evil alien named Grax. The remaining crew on the ship are tasked with saving your captain and taking down the bad guys. Again, pretty standard sci-fi fare, but Besides the story, the gameplay itself is actually a lot of fun, and if you're getting the Nintendo Switch version of this game, which, if you're watching this review, I would imagine that's the case, you also get Star Fox's very own Fox Mccloud and the entire Star Fox team to help you in your journey. Not only do you get to continue doing the standard story missions with Fox Mccloud, you actually unlock bonus content for the game that includes Star Fox specific missions that have you hunting down the nefarious Wolf. That's right, did you think that Wolf's first appearance on the Nintendo Switch was going to be in Smash Brothers? You thought wrong. Now let's talk about the most important part about this game, and that is the gameplay itself. Yes, the toys are really neat. I do love the concept, and Toys to Life is one of my passions in life, but it doesn't mean anything if the game's not all that good. But the good news here is the game is actually a lot of fun. The best way I can kind of describe this is a more evolved form of Star Fox in an open world. Now, if you've played open world games in the past, which I'm sure you have, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. For the most part, though, the good does outweigh the bad. Now, in Star Fox, if you're going to compare this game to Star Fox, which makes a lot of sense, it's nowhere near as fast-paced. In Star Fox 64, Star Fox Zero, the original Star Fox, everything was very quick. The action was happening at a mile a minute, and really that's not what this game is about. Again, expect more of an open world feel to this game. There's going to be fetch quests galore in this, so expect to do a lot of traveling back and forth and dropping off goods at an outpost. The boss battles in this game are actually a little bit more complex as well. One of the earlier boss fights actually consisted of several phases that took quite a few minutes for me to take down. In fact, I died quite a few times doing this as well. Unlike a lot of other games, if you do die in the middle of a boss fight, you have several options. Option number 1 is to start the entire thing over at a checkpoint, or option number 2 is to dock a different ship. Now, I have 4 ships, so if I died during a boss fight, I just popped off the R-Wing and threw one of the other 3 ships onto the controller dock so I could kind of start over that way. However, if you do a lot of the side quests in this game and you power your ship and weapons up, this game is completely doable with one ship, so don't feel like you have to go out and buy other things. There are certain things that I did come across though that require a very specific kind of weapon. This can be frustrating for some of you completionists that want to do everything pretty much just with the base game, but you can take solace knowing that you can beat this game with just the base ship, pilots, and weapons that come in the starter pack. For the hours and hours I spent playing this game, I pretty much stuck with the R-Wing. Why? Because I'm a Nintendo fanboy, that's why. I did end up swapping to other ships throughout, and it was really fun kind of swapping back and forth, checking out the variations. You can pull the wings off one ship and put it onto the other, you can swap out weapons, you can swap out pilots. Everything is really interchangeable, and as a Toys to Life fan, this is the kind of thing that I was really hoping to see from Amiibo. I absolutely love the customization in this game, and it happens to be fun. Personally, games like Skylanders, Disney Infinity, LEGO Dimensions, those games were never really up my alley, but something like this, I feel like I can get myself into a lot easier. Next, let's talk about the controls themselves. Overall, the game did control really nicely. The flying was pretty spot on. I had very little issues in the space segments of this game. The issues I did find with the controls were more or less in close quarters. It wasn't even necessarily the control of the ship, but I did have issues controlling the camera. From time to time, especially when I was fighting a boss or a bigger enemy, I would sometimes have issues where my camera would just do things I wouldn't expect, like zoom in on the front of my ship. But again, this was really few and far between, so I don't really hold this against the game in any way, shape, or form. Each of the ships does have its own unique feel to it. I did end up sticking with the R-Wing like I mentioned before throughout the most of it because it really felt the best to me. Some of the bigger ships felt a bit more clunky, but overall everything was actually relatively smooth. When you arrive on a planet, you have two different options for flying. One is kind of a hovering mode where you stay very close to the ground. This is good for a lot of the boss fights. And then the other one is actually flying. You can fly throughout the entire planet if you want. You can explore. Heck, you can even go straight up and go straight into space. That's one of the cooler things about this. There is so much exploration in this game that it really opened up my eyes to what an open world Star Fox game might look like if Nintendo ever does that at any point. The combat also felt pretty smooth. My favorite part of the combat in this game was the dogfights you have in space. Again, I know I'm making a lot of comparisons to Star Fox, but that felt the most Star Fox to me out of any other point in this game. Things felt smooth, I loved the weapons, and swapping out weapons and kind of testing to see which ones work the best on what enemies is actually quite a fun experience. So, overall, I do highly recommend this game for those of you that really like Toys to Life, flying games, or Star Fox. There's a lot of really interesting concepts here. Again, it's not perfect, but if you can look past a relatively lackluster story, some semi-annoying characters, and the occasional problems with the controls, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with Starlink. For more information on this, we have our written review coming up very soon. You can check that out at nintendowire.com, but stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more Starlink Battle for Atlas coverage coming up in the coming days, including a live stream and even additional video content, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys.